Today on the workbench I have a Athearn RTR, and it's in the Norfolk Southern livery. You can see that this locomotive has been started. You can see these wires here. This is kind of an interesting project. I'm working with Nixtrains, the inventor of the Decoder Buddy, and we are going to put in a Decoder Buddy, and we're also going to be using one of the brand new Soundtraxx 21-pin decoders, one of their new 8-function decoders. So we're going to have that in there. We're going to put in got a 16 by 35 millimeter Soundtraxx speaker. That'll end up sitting back here in the back. Of course, we'll replace the board, and we're going to squeeze in a Soundtraxx. This is one of their current keepers. I think that'll work out nicely in here. But you can see that this has already been started, and actually Nick from Nixtrains, he has taken and wired up. Let's see, we're going to have ditch lights, our headlight, number boards, then we're going to have our rear lights. That'll be a function. And there are courtesy lights. We've got one there. They're sill lights, I guess you'd say. There'd be one up front here. One in the back, down below there. And then, I'm not going to pull this styrofoam out, but I think he's got them back in here too, on the steps. No, we don't have them on the steps. So, or the courtesy lights back here. But there are, if you can see in here, we do have the step lights for the front and rear on each side. So that'll be a couple more functions. And then they're back here on the rear also. Let me see if I can zoom in on that just a little bit. Yeah, you can see that where that's cut out right there. So we've got 4 step lights in there. But we're going to get this thing, I'm going to get it wired up, and then we'll go from there. But for right now, I've just been kind of looking over this thing. I'm going to zoom back out here. So he's done an excellent job installing the lights. So I'm going to take it and run with it. You can see all the wires and how they're fastened inside. So we'll get this thing, we'll get going on this. We'll set the shell off to the side. And let's see where we're going to start. This is DCC ready. So I won't have to isolate the motor or anything like that. These newer ones come with the better motor mounts. They've got screws in them instead of the old plastic clips. I have done a stall test on this. I topped it out at like 1.13 amps. So let's go ahead and start removing some of this stuff. Oh. So we're going to get rid of our rear weight. Remove that. And then I'm going to pull off our leads from the track pickups. We'll get out a pair of pliers and just cut that. So we've got that, and then these boards just clip on. And we've got our one motor contact right there. So that's our board. I'm just kind of giving this a quick look over here, just because. Now what I'm going to use here, I have this is a 3D printed board for Athearn for the blue box, and it'll fit these RTRs. This is made to hold the decoder. Get that down on there. Of course, these decoder buddies fit just perfect on this thing, but they're made for one 11 by 15 mini cube speaker, and then they have a little, well actually the speaker goes here on the bottom. These clips clip on top of the motor, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then you'd have an area for your current keeper. Of course, you got a little slot there for lights and everything, but I'm not going to, I've taken one of these already, and I've kind of gotten started on this. So what I have done is I have modified one, and this is the same thing, but I have cut out part of this, and let's just compare them. Let me get this out of the way. You can see I've cut a new profile in this, and I'll paint this black just to match everything, but I've cut a big chunk of this out right in here on the side so that our speaker will be flush in there, and that will sit right under the radiator fans, and the radiator fans in this locomotive are see-through, so we should get a really good sound out of this thing. And of course our decoder buddy will sit right there like that, and then of course there's our other board. But I think we're going to have some good luck with this. So I've got this set up, and I'll have to remove this this part of this board right here, just to be able to put this 3D printed holder in. So let me take this off real quick. And I get these, you can get these off of from Shapeways. I don't remember who prints them out right now, but they're not hard to find if you look for them. You can go in, I think you can search DCC on Shapeways, and it'll bring you to that. Of course, it'll show you some other things, but this will be the big thing. So the idea is this will set just like that. We've removed that weight. Let me flip this over, and you can kind of see this is what this will look like from the side. And then what I'm planning on doing is I'll probably remove this. I'm going to remove this part of the front weight. And I should be able to put this current keeper right up in here. I may have to knock these two off, these two stubs right here where that weight attaches to, but I think I can get that right in there. But that's the plan for now. Of course, like so many things, the plan is subject to change. The other thing about the decoder buddy that we'll be using, this one has been modified. The resistors in it, and I don't know if I can, let me come down on that maybe a little bit. Yeah, you really can't read these, but these resistors here are 1,000 ohm resistor. Normally when you order these boards they are 2,200 ohm, but when talking to Soundtraxx, they wanted 1,000 ohm for the lighting effects. So we're going to use all 8 lighting effects. And I forgot to mention, I'm going to put a red cab light in there for when this goes into emergency. That'll be our 8th function. So we'll have all the lights outside, plus one in the cab for an emergency situation. So we've got that. We've got our plan worked up here. And this is the great thing about the decoder buddy. I can take, and we're going to have this plug. And I can go ahead and solder this. We'll be able to remove the shell. We won't have to, the plug will go with it. We won't have to move any wires. We won't have to do anything. Just pick it up and go with it. So let me back out here. And we will get some stuff out of the way. Move this locomotive out of the way. Bring that over. And we'll get started on some wiring here. So, all right, get everything set up and I'll be back. Okay, we're back here, and I believe we are ready to start wiring this beast together. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the decoder buddy assembly on here. Now I am going to paint this. It's white right now, but I'm going to paint it black after we get to that point, or when we get to that point. But for right now, I want to use the decoder buddy itself as a holder for that plug. That way I won't have to fight around it. I had this weight off here. I'm going to put that back on there while I'm thinking about it. Because I'm not going to need to remove this. I'm going to end up, I rethought this, I'm going to put that, the current keeper right in here. That way I won't have to modify anything else back through here. And it'll fit right up underneath the short hood. Real simple. But for now, let's see. This is the way this goes. Turn my soldering iron on here. I need to figure out what is what here. So I'll just go ahead and turn my ringer off. Now the way that I'm going to tell what those are, this is a really handy item to have. Pull it out here and show it to you. For some reason I've got my soldering station all the way up to 800 degrees. This is a pair of smart tweezers. And I can test LEDs with this. So let's, we've got a set group together here. Let's see what we have. Let's set that up to 30 milliamps. That's my ditch lights. Okay. So we know these are ditch lights. And what we'll end up doing, we'll have to keep track of this because well, we'll have to know what functions later on they go to. Let me get my solder out here and some flux. And tin that up. Do these one at a time. Clean that tip off. There's that one. Go in. There's that one. Now, I should have I'm just giving this a look over here as to what functions. Okay, let's see. See if I can get this glare down a little bit off of this. I'll zoom in a little bit. But what I am going to do, that's about as far down as I can get. So what I'll do, and I already made a mistake there. I took my negatives and I put them together. These are the ditch lights, remember, and I want them on separate functions. Because if we don't put them on separate functions, they'll just flash, you know, or I guess they would stay all the same, but we want them to flash. So I'll end up taking that out. And but so we've got our red here. That's going to be our positive. And on these decoder buddies, this one, this side right here, these 4 holes, this bar and that bar are all the positive side. So I'm going to take and put that down through that hole. And then once I get done, I'll cut all these off. Now I can leave these together on the positive side. So, and I don't worry about which hole that I put it in. So we'll get that fluxed up. So there's that one. Now I'll take the positives and I need to separate those out. And I'll put them on different functions. So I don't know what I was thinking there, but everybody makes mistakes. And I could just cut that, but it's probably what I'll end up doing. Nope, won't have to. Alright, so I got those separated, and I'm going to put that, I think I'll just go ahead and put them over here on functions. That'd be A2 and A4, and then we'll write that down. So there's that side. Get down through there. Kind of peel that back out of the way. We'll get this soldered in. Trying to avoid touching those other wires. Now I want a minimal amount of solder on there so that it doesn't flow over into anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. So we've got A2 and A4 ditch lights. I want to keep that handy. So we're on our way here. And that's the great thing about this. I can just pop this off, move the shell, won't have to worry about anything. I'm not going to hook I don't think I'll hook my track or anything up until I get that painted and then secured in there. So now, let's go back through. I'm going to zoom out again. What do we have? Got a jumble of wires. This I am going to assume is our, since it's going toward the back, I'm going to say it's our rear headlight. So I'm going to cut all that off to one length. And then we'll strip that off. I'll be able to use, well, these ones I will be able to put together. So let's that one. We'll leave ourselves plenty of wire to that doesn't look like plenty of wire to me. Yeah, maybe it is. That some flux on that. As I wheeled my soldering iron around here. Okay, there's that. And this is the rear. Well, let me get that other one, and then I'm going to test them before I start soldering to the board. I always want to test everything before I solder it to the board. So we'll dig these other two out. I don't know if I can strip that off with my fingernails or not. Nope. And I believe this is it's a little finer than 30 gauge. This may be a 32, 34, but I'm stripping it off with the 30. So we'll get them together if I can. Then we'll put some flux on there. Okay, so there's that. I want to test that now. I'll get back out the smart tweezers. And of course, they're kind of hard to hold and do everything at one time. Okay, well, I was wrong there. I thought both of those went to the two rear headlights. One of them goes to the step light. So I can still keep my positive together. That'll be fine. I think I'll put it over here. Because it's all on a common anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So there's that. Now I need to separate these. So there's that. Now help if I turn the tweezers back on. Okay, so this is my rear light right here. And it goes on. Should be this corner. Where, well, let me zoom in again. Maybe a little far. If you can look, well, you can look right there. You can see that OR. That is the reverse light. Trying to keep everything out of the way. Okay, so there's that. That's our reverse light, and then this one should be that step light. Yep. Okay. So I've got my OR. I'm going to write that down. I've got 3 functions on there already. Of course, it's pretty self-explanatory. OR, rear lights. So we've got that. Now, I'm going to go with over here to A6 in this corner down here. Let's see. Let me think about this for a minute. Make sure where I'm at. I want to hook all of those step lights to one function. So now I need to start sorting out what is what. So I've got that one. I'm looking around here. Things flipped over and upside down and such. Okay. So I've got a set of wires here. These are the number boards. So I want to take and I need to flux these up and we'll get them attached to the board. We'll go ahead and do our positive wire. Put that down in there. Had it down in there. Flux. There's that. So now our number board, negative side. Get back around here. So there will be that one. And let's see, I'm just going to come around. We'll use our A6 for the number board. Number boards, I guess I should say. Pulled the wire out while it was still hot. There we go. Right back in. So that is on A6, our front number boards. Of course, the rear ones on this aren't lighted. So I've used 4 functions. Now, I've got to search for another set of wires. Okay. Still working on the number boards here. There are actually 4 wires associated with the number boards instead of the 2 that I thought. So I'm fluxing up and putting these wires together. As I'd hooked it up originally and the things worked beautifully. But then I found another pair of wires and, well, they worked beautifully too for the number boards. So, there are 2 sets. Seems like, isn't it? Either that or there's something majorly wrong. But either way, we're going to get it. There's that. Okay, now let's go back. And see if I can get that hole. It's the wrong one. There it went. Now we'll take our two negatives, hook them over here, right back to A6. Oh. It's like the soldering job came undone there a little bit. Trim that off. And then there we go. Okay, so we're back in line there. A6 is our number boards. Been looking all over for a pair of smaller wire strippers, and they've been right here in front of me the whole time. So now I want to find this headlight. I know it's not that wire. I've got 1, 2, 3. 3 functions left. So I'm going to take and strip these a little bit. Yeah. Well, the first 2 cuts I made with these, they worked really well. Now the last 2 cuts, so there's that one. And let's see, let me try to see if I can find my headlight. Turn my tweezers back on. See that far up there. So we've got that as a negative. And we'll try this one. Nothing. If I can get around here to this one. That's nothing. Okay, there's a courtesy light. So let's go with that. So I am going to put a piece of, well, I'm going to try and wrap these around each other. Zoom out here so you can see what I'm doing. Just want to wrap them around each other. Don't need to test that one. I'm going to get here, I'll put this piece of heat shrink on here. That way I won't have to remember what those are. But that's a courtesy, that's the front courtesy light. Let's see what else we have. Test that. Yep, it's not one of the step lights. There's our headlight. These two. Put that piece of red heat shrink on there. So there's our front headlight. Take it, put some flux on there, put some flux on there. Move some stuff out of the way. Clean that off. All right, now, this was our front headlight. Get that off of there. Now that one goes up into that corner. Wrapping myself up in my soldering station. And I'll clean all this off when I get done. So there's that one. And I've got this flux. Well, yeah, I've got it tinned. come back in. Zoom down on that again. And we've got it right here in this one. Okay, so there's another function. I'm going to write it down, even though I don't need to. I'm still going to write it down. That's OF. Front headlight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Use 5 functions on this already. I'm just kind of doing a quick little test. I've got stuff touching down there, so it's not going to do anything. So we've got that one. This was our one courtesy light up front. And then we've got this. And this. Am I missing something here? Looks like I've got 1, 2, 4, 5 wires. I know this is a light. Okay, yep, the wrong way. We'll zoom out here. I've got another pair in my hand. This is all of the step lights. So that's soldered together. And then this is, I need to put some flux on that. That's the common wire for both of those. So we can get that tinned up. And all tinned up, we'll get it on the board. So start over here on this side. Well, I'm going to try to start on this side. Well, it seems like I'm just fighting myself here. There. Down on there. Oh, too far. There we go. Get that kind of cleaned off. There's that. And now I'm going to put that on A5. Actually, let me move it over here to A1. That way it won't be in the way of some of that other stuff. So A1 is going to be our step lights. So there's that. Now I have these two left, and let's see, I better write this down though. Now I've lost my pencil. No. So A1 is our step lights. All right. Now, oh, wrong way. Let's zoom back out. These, well, this was the, I call them courtesy lights up here on the nose. So, I need to strip that off a little bit. There's that one. There's that one. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to pull that piece of heat shrink off of there. Put some flux on here and we'll get this thing tinned up and we'll get it on the board. So we'll go right back here. Go right back here in this corner. Put this in. There's that. Flux. So there's that one. Now all I've got to do is get some flux on this. And go right there to A3. So, oh, wrong way. Try and zoom in a little more there. I just go a little too far. There it is. Okay. So, now everything that is wired in is on that board. And I want to take this off here. This is just a painter's tape, but man. It wants to stick on there good. I'm going to take this apart and then I'm going to pull this. Okay. We'll pull the board off and then we'll show you what we've got after I'll trim all those wires up. Get out my chip puller. Okay. So this is the underside of that. And I can pull the locomotive right out of the way. Let me zoom out. So now I'm going to take and trim off my excess. So there's what we have there. Now I want to clean it off a little bit. Turn my soldering iron off, because I believe that's all for today. But I believe I missed one. So there's that side. Let's see if I can get this, some of this off of the front. All right. Put the lid back a little more. So what we've got our front and rear headlights. I don't know if I can show you any of this or not. We'll try. I'm just going to start touching leads and yep. Do. Help if I put it on there the right way. There's the step lights. You can see them flashing up on the front because that's what this does. It flashes. It's not a constant on. So that's my rear. There you can see the front kind of on and off. I know it's hard to see, but I can't pick the locomotive up and the front courtesy light. I don't know if you see it flashing or not. But anyway, we've got all of our function wires hooked up right there. There, I just knocked the front the rear headlight off, I mean. Yeah, I'm not going to fix that tonight. Alright, we're back here. I'm going to pull this out a little bit. Alright, now yesterday when I stopped working on this, I had one of the wires come off right here. So I'm going to take and fix that right now. And then the other thing I want to do is I'm going to add our emergency red light to the cab. But first I want to get this all, get some flux on it and tin it up. Then we'll get it back on the board. Now I am going to use a little helping hand here. So that I can get this back in the, and this is why I had it up on the, let me just put it back on there. This is why I had it up on the board yesterday, to hold it. Okay, so there, I've got it held in place. And there it went right back down in. So we've got that. Pull that off of the board again. Excuse me. So let me get that out of the way, and then I want to trim that off on the back side. So there's that. So now I have this small LED. This is a, let's see, it's a 402, I believe. Let me get out the, yeah, it's 402. So I've got this red 402 bulb that I am going to place in the top of the cab here, and that will give us our 8th function. So let's see, how do I want to do this? First thing I want to do is get my cradle out so I can set this in my cradle. So hang on a second. Okay, I've set that up in my cradle, and what I want to do now, and I may have to do this with a magnifier. Yeah. I want to take and put this little LED bulb face up down in the bottom of the cab here. Just going to try and set it right in the center of that, and I think what I will use is, I like to use the, this is a Goop E6000. And I apply this with just like a little micro brush that I use, and I pull the little felt off of it after I use them. So let's see. I'm just going to put a little dab in there. Put the cap back on that. And then set that off to the side. Okay. Now, I just want to take and set this so there I've got my red light in there. But now I want to take a little more goop to hold that wire down. A little bit of added protection there. Yeah, I knew I was going to do that. Try and hold that down with a, yeah, I don't want to put a Q-tip on it. Well, here we go. Let's try a flat file. You can hold that down. And that seemed to dry out rather quickly. There we go. Try and get a little more up front on that. But that'll be for an emergency light function. And that'll illuminate the entire cab. All right. So there's that. Probably should have done that last night so it would have been dry today. But I didn't. So we'll let that dry a little bit. Let me get out my smart tweezers here, and we'll see how red that is. If I can get the wire picked up. So that's what we'll have when we get that wired up to our decoder buddy. Now I'll probably have it as a steady on instead of that flashing when we get it hooked up, but for now, that's our red light. And it looks like when I tried to test that, I pulled it up a little bit. Okay. Just going to leave that alone for now. So let me get back. We'll set this aside. Let that dry. So now we're back to the locomotive, or the frame. So what I want to do before I start hooking any of this up, I'm going to go ahead and get this. I'm going to take the decoder buddy off, pull the speaker out, and then I'm going to pull this off, because what I want to do is I want to paint this black. That way it'll match the rest of the locomotive. I mean, I don't need to, but I want to, just to make it kind of uniform. And I'll do that all off camera. So when I come back, this should be black, and we should be able to go ahead and put our decoder buddy on, mount our speaker, and we will be good to go. All right, this has had time to set up our red light that we just put in the cab. So I want to take and turn this over. Well, actually, I got to grab the wires here. So we'll get those wires out of there. And then we can put these on the board. first, I want to take and I'm going to run those through that piece of heat shrink right there. Let's say I'm going to try to run them through that piece of heat shrink. Maybe one at a time, unless... Yeah, I got them through there. Okay, so we've done a little wire management there. I'll turn this thing around, and I've got the board, I painted the mount that I had there, so I need to trim these wires off a little bit. So I'm going to cut them about right there. Then we need to strip them off. Get my other pair of strippers here. Get it. There's that one. And there's that one. So we'll get some flux here. Nope, I should have turned my soldering iron on while I was waiting there, but I didn't. Clean that off a little bit. Let that get up to temperature. Okay. So there's that. Now I need to hold my board, and this is going to be on A5 when we get done. Of course, we'll put our common. A little bit of flux. And there's that one. I don't have anything to rest my hand on right there. So there's some more flux for the very last one. Okay. Now we have all of our wires connected to the decoder buddy, to the little function board on it. I'm going to cut some excess off. Okay, so there's that. Now I want to clean this up a little bit. Make it a little more presentable. Before I do that though, I might as well take, well, I don't have any speaker wire right here beside of me. I got out a piece of speaker wire, and I want to go ahead and connect it up. This is a piece of silicone wire. These I can strip with my fingernails. Let's see. Get that fluxed up. We'll just touch that. That's good to go. A little flux on that one. I want to turn that around. Get that in there. So there's our speaker wired up. Well, to the speaker anyway. And you can notice I just leave that in a loop and then just cut it off in the center. So our speaker's wired up. So now, while we're waiting for paint to dry, now I went ahead and I put black tape on this. This is the Soundtraxx Current Keeper, and it's purple. As you can see, I didn't do all of it, but it's purple. And what I'm going to do is this is going to sit right in here, basically. Let me unplug that. I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. That sits quite nicely right there in the front of that, and it doesn't interfere with the movement of the front truck. But what it does do, when you look through the window in the cab, you could see this black, or the purple as it was originally. So I put black tape over it. That way when you look inside, all you see is black. This portion won't be seen. So I did do that off camera. Well, for some reason I wasn't thinking. But we'll plug this back in. And when we connect this to our decoder buddy, let me zoom in on this. You can see the decoder buddy has a positive, a U positive, and a ground. That's where our wires will go for our current keeper. So that's how that is. I will have to cut this plug off the end. That's no big deal, and we'll solder that to the board. I don't want to I don't want to solder it on yet. I'm not ready. I don't have the cradle and everything ready. It's drying. So once that happens, this is pretty much, it'll be pretty much done. I've got all the lighting functions done. Of course, like I said, I want to take and get some of these wires under control here to keep it a little neater. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some black tape and I will, if I wouldn't have bent that over like that, I'm just going to cut some little strips. I'll cut some little strips about that size and put those on there. So, yeah, I just ruined that one. So that's going to be our wire management technique. We'll zoom out here. So all I'm doing is pulling that off just a little bit. And I've got a pair of shears. And I don't like that pair very well. Let me get my little pair of scissors. These are easier to work with. Okay. Now let's see what we can do here. See, now just even putting that one little piece on there has helped that tremendously. So cut another piece. Okay. That's a process right there. Okay, now when this goes in, it will set just like this, basically, on that board. So I'll be able to take here after a bit and do a little more, but for right now that takes care of the bulk of that. I may put a piece across here just to yeah. Ma'am. You get the drift of that. All right. Let me see how my board's doing. Okay, let's see. We're getting ready to move. We've got all our wires hooked up on the Decoder Buddy mini board here. So now we're going to come back to the frame. And I've got the 3D printed piece all painted up, ready to go. So let's start some assembly here. Get that on there. And we've got our motor pickup over here. Let's see. Our Decoder Buddy will set right on there like that. So let me move in. So we've got, this is what we've got on our frame. All right. So now we'll go ahead and we'll start putting some of these wires on here, getting everything tinned up. I'll have to drill a hole in that, it looks like, for these two wires here. I got to drill a couple of holes for when I set the speaker in there. So Let's see. Get out a drill bit here. And this is just plastic, so these will be the holes for the track pickup. Or pickups, I should say. And this drill bit is dull. And I'll need holes through here. Well, let me pull the board back off, or the decoder buddy. Pull that back out. And let's see. Get something to press against. So there's one. And there's two. So there's our two holes for our track pickups. Let's see. Now I won't need them up on the front, but I do need a hole in here for the speaker. I may drill that I think I'll go through the bottom and then come back up through. I may have better luck that way. And it's not going to interfere with anything. It's just going to, that would be tight to come right straight through, I think. And then I may be able to use the same holes that I have. there's that one. We'll get our other one in here. So there we're through. So let's do this. There's one. And two. And I have plenty of wire, so. So there's our speaker mounted. Well, not mounted, but it's close. I haven't sealed it in there yet. So then we need our track pickups, and I'm going to clip these off because I don't need them that long anyway. Okay, well, that'll work there, but I do need to drill these other two holes out because both of those wires won't fit up through that. Let's see. I'm going to get out a sharper bit. This is a number 50. It is a little bigger. Let me there, I enlarged that hole, but I don't think, yeah, there may be enough room there to get both of those wires through. Let's try it. There's the speaker wires, and then Oh yeah, that'll work. So there's that one. Get the front wires in the way now. Okay, there we go. I just need to keep them up off of the flywheel. But other than that, we are good to go with that. Move that over. All right, we've got that far. Now, I'm going to take and put some, well, I've got everything good to go right there. I'm going to get me some sealer and put on the speaker after I put my drill bit away. Let's see, where's my black sealer? All right, I'm going to pull this back off again. Pull those up out because I need to pull these speaker wires down a little bit to be able to get to that. Okay, so I'm going to take some black RTV sealant and go around to seal this thing down. Try not to make too big of a mess. trying to keep wires all out of the RTV. And also trying to keep it off of the sides. So it won't look like a mess. All right, let's try and get this in here as painlessly as possible. Get it down in there. Start pulling the wires down. Luckily I had some sealant on the wires there, so that'll seal up the holes in the bottom. So that takes care of that, it looks like. Got just a little extra there. That doesn't look too awful bad. So I think we're good to go there on the ceiling of our speaker. I believe. Yep. So there's that. I'm going to run our speaker wire back up through. And then can run our motor wires. There's one. Oh, come on. I'm right on the edge. Oh, I know you fit up in there. I had you up in there once. There we go. Now I gotta get the silicone off of my finger. So we've got our speaker in, our wires up through for the speaker. And I may put some silicone right there. To keep those wires up. Or I could take a piece of styrene and put it there where the screw holes go. But for right now, it's fine. So, okay, now we're back to the decoder buddy itself. Alright, so we've got our decoder buddy in, got our speakers, which, see how much wire we need there? Not much. And then even for the track pickups. So, I've got the soldering iron on. I need to figure out which one of these is which. And I'm actually going to take and, well, no, I want to run that way. Okay. All right. Might as well hook our track pickups up. Snip that off. And we'll snip that off, and then we'll strip those. It's hard for me to, I left that a little short. Try that again. There's that one. There's that one. Break out the flux here. Let me fold those down a little bit. We'll just do it all while we're here. That. There's that. Other track pickup. Okay, now we're down to our speakers. Leave them a little longer, give myself a little more. So now there's that. So we've got our solder or our flux on. We'll go ahead and tin those. so that's got flux on it. Now we can go ahead and get them on the board. May have to turn this around. Okay. There are those 4 connections. I'll put these over on the side, that way they won't interfere with the flywheel. There we go. All right, a little bit of flux right there spilled. Get that off. So we're good there. Now we can go ahead and we'll hook up our pickups. I want to pull this off so I can tell which wire is what. Don't need that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut and strip these and get them soldered onto the board. Give myself plenty of room this time. There's our flux. Oh, while I'm doing it, and you can see these are labeled TSST. That's your track pickups. And there's speaker mounts for that up there on the front too. that. So we've got all our pickups on. Speakers attached. We'll put this weight back on. And we're not touching anything there. Not hitting the flywheel. Get our weight mounted back. So we, at this moment in time, basically we're done, other than plugging the decoder in, and then that board plugs into that. That's all of our lighting functions. Oh, we've got our motor to hook up, so I spoke too soon. And we've got our keep alive to hook up. I'm gonna have to take that weight back off, but so let me zoom back out. I'll pull this weight off. Pull that off. Leave the weight off for a second. Turn this around. I'm going to go ahead and cut this plug off. And I'll run the wires under. This is between the decoder buddy and the 3D printed holder. So that way we won't have to worry about our wires getting down into the flywheel. So I'll go ahead and strip this off. Then I can strip this one off. And the blue is the positive and the black is the ground. Need some flux on there. This one tinned up. So there's our capacitor hooked on. I think I got a little bit there to trim off. Then we'll clean that flux off. Alright, the only thing left we have is our motor, and what I want to do with that to make sure that we have it going the right way, I'll put a decoder on here. And try it out. Now, let's see, so it's motor orange, motor gray. Orange is the positive. Yeah, I'm just going to try it, because if I don't try, if I try it and mess it up, I mean, you can't really mess it up, but you can always move it. We'll put it up in there. I believe that's the one that it should be. If I can get it to stay. I may just go ahead and solder it just because. I've got a 50-50 shot at it. Get up there. I'm going to try it right there. So we'll see how this turns out. Trying to get that tucked up under the motor a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to find a decoder to put on this, and I'm going to try it, see if I got the direction right. And if not, yeah, we'll move it over to the other side. So, I'll be back. Well, I did plug a decoder into it, and I'm sitting here watching this thing. Why won't it? It wouldn't move. Had sound, wouldn't move. And then I pulled it off the test track, and dumb me, I forgot a very vital piece here. I forgot to put the other motor lead on. So, yeah, anyway, we'll pull this off. Yeah, completely forgot about the other motor lead. I mean, it's no big deal, but I forgot it. So, and the reason I forgot it is because these Atherns, the ready to roll that are DCC ready, I'll show you in a second. Get some flux on this. They have a clip, a metal clip, that puts power to the other side of the board or motor. And I'll show you that here in a second, but I want to get this wire on it. So there's that. Now what I'm talking about is this metal clip right here. Let me zoom in on this. That metal clip right here is the other lead on the motor. So you've got the one white or whatever color it is. That'll come up and ties up to your whichever one the motor here is. It's this one right here, that center one with the black on it. That's the motor. So, saying that, it picks up the, let's just say that's the positive side and this is the negative side. It puts the negative side to the motor through this clip. So that's why I forgot it, because I'm not using that clip. I don't know if that made any sense or not, but there's that. I'm just going to leave this long for right now to make sure that I have let me strip that off a little farther back. Set this up on the track. And nope. Okay, I did test it. I've got it running backward. So we'll remove this. Need to strip that off a little better. That way I can run it up in there better. There we go. What I really ought to do is drill a hole in that, but this will work fine. As long as I can get it up through there. So there's that. We'll go ahead and a little bit of solder. That wire tucked back in. Okay. Flux. Put that wire in there. Alright, so we've got, oh, I'm just going to put this back on. So right now, we're all set. Just wait back on. And we are ready for a, well, we'll plug the decoder in it. And then after we plug the decoder in it, we're ready for a test. So everything's hooked up, wiring's all right, speakers in. So, all right, when we come back, I'll have you up on a side view. All right, we're back, and this is the new Tsunami 2 8-function 21-pin decoder, and this one's for EMDs. Part number 885809 does have the 8 functions. You can see down here that the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all up in the F24 through 28 range. So I've already put this on our board, on our decoder buddy, and I do have the power on. You can see the blue light going to the power. But this right here, and I'll zoom down, I've got a new gadget here from Nixtrains. This is a, oh, pull back this way. This is a tester. You can test out your lighting functions. It has 12 lights on it because it'll fit on the new version of the decoder buddy. But I'm using the original decoder buddy with this one. It has 8 functions. So let's go through these, and you can see the lighting functions work. And that'll tell you whether you've got it wired up right or something if you're having trouble. So right now we've got our forward headlight. There's our rear headlight. So we'll go back to forward. Now we'll go to F24. That's function 3. F25, function 4, F26, function 5, F27 is function 6, and F28 includes functions 7 and 8. So there's our 8 lighting functions out of this decoder. And we'll go ahead and turn these off. So 28, 27, 26, 25, 24. So now we're ready to go ahead and plug our decoder buddy in, or the decoder buddy that has the board on it. The decoder buddy board that has the wiring on it. Boy, I'm confused today. So let me get this out of the way, and we'll get right back to that install. Now we're ready to install our 10-pin. I'll remove this and install our 10-pin plug with the wiring on it, and basically the locomotive will be done other than adding some of the detail parts to it. So I'm going to kind of switch things around here, and then I'll be back. All right, I think I'm going to change some stuff here. I've got this wired up like this right now, and I don't like this jumble of wires. I want to make this I want to make this neater. So I'm going to transfer wires, and I think I'm going to take and I'll do something with all these red wires, and this could be a little process here, but I'm going to move some of this stuff around and just make it look neater, basically, is what I'm going to do, because this is a rat's nest. That's the bad thing about all these functions. I mean, the functionality is great, don't get me wrong, but wiring it up and having all these wires, definitely a pain. So I want to make this look neater. I can consolidate a lot of my reds. I may only have 2 or 3 of them going to the board instead of all these red wires. I can tie them together, back in here someplace. That way we don't have to worry about them. But I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back with the finished product and show you what we have. Okay, we're back here. We've got our locomotive all assembled. Everything's working. So I'm going to fire this thing up, and then we'll spin it around a little bit here, and you can look at it and see it. So there we're starting our prime mover up, and that is the correct prime mover for this. Give it a little bit of horn there. There's our bell. And then, let's see, I've got the front headlight turned on there. I'm going to spin this around. That way you can see the headlight. And I do have 8 lighting functions in this. So I'm just going to kind of turn it to the side here, just a little bit, and I'll start going through these functions. Let's see, there's our number boards, and we've got step lights all the way around. You can only see the front one there. I put a red emergency light in the cab. Let me turn that back off, and I'll turn it back on. That way, and it's tied into the emergency stop button. And then we'll go to the next one. That is our courtesy, or I guess a deck light. You can see it coming on and off down there in the bottom. And then we have our ditch lights, and they're tied in. They do flash a little bit fast, but I'm okay with that. So let me spin this around here. You can see a little better. It might be kind of bright, pointing directly into the camera. Let me turn that red cab light on again. There you can see it a little better. And then you can see that courtesy light there. And there's our flashing ditch lights. You see the step lights go on and off there. So there's that. I'm going to start that running. You can hear that prime mover start up. Now I'm going to hit the emergency stop button. So it immediately stopped. You can hear the air cut off, and you can see the red cab light come on. Now to get that started again, we just release the brake just by increasing or decreasing the throttle. So there's our completed locomotive. We'll ramp that all the way down. Turn our headlight off. There's our ditch lights off. Number boards. And there's our step lights. So we've got that one all done. And I think this is another nice project. Using the Decoder Buddy and the new Soundtraxx 8-function lighting decoder. Of course, we've got a Soundtraxx Keep Alive in it and a Soundtraxx 16 by 35 millimeter speaker. So we are complete. All right. Thanks for watching.